Hello. Happy Monday, happy May. It's Adam Zdroik talking a DraftKings Showdown. Leicester City against Everton. Looking at the table first. If you didn't know, we have tables at RotoWire. We can see this Leicester City Everton matchup, bottom of the table. Massive matchup for both of these teams. So that's going to be on the minds of the players, of the fans, of everyone as we watch this match here. The interesting part here, as I'm now looking at this, Leicester City 44 goals this season and 20, and Everton only have 25. That's interesting. That's interesting. Leicester City have scored 44 goals this season. Is that right? Am I looking at this right? All right, I guess they have. So, okay, let's get into it here. We actually have some bigger contests at DraftKings after whoever makes this, the soccer contest. They kind of took the weekend off. They took off the weekend from King of the Pitch. I'm not even sure we're having King of the Pitch satellites anymore. We have the 150 King of the Pitch ticket today. I think that might even be full already. There's a couple entries left as I'm talking now, but we got the 10K to first. It's about half full. It'll probably be full in about a few hours from now, but we got some bigger contests here and took a little break from the videos over the weekend. It was good to it was good to have a bit of a break after a busy week, but I guess DraftKings took a break as well. So, um, let's get into it here. I haven't looked too much into building rosters, into building lineups, but I've looked a little bit into this matchup here between Leicester City and Everton. If you want a betting standpoint of this, check out Kits and Wagers. Uh, I put chapters into that one. It's on YouTube as well. Just click into it. I got a corners bet in there. Chris has another bet in there, so check that out. That's on our YouTube page, Kits and Wagers. Got a bet for this matchup, but we're sitting at the bottom of the table here. The things that stood out to me for this matchup. So first off, we got Leicester City 48% chance to win, which I know they're home, but that seems high. Everton 1.13 implied goals, Leicester City 1.58 implied goals. So you could look at this one of two ways. You can take into account, Leicester coming off of wins, coming off maybe some better results under Dean Smith. Everton have looked pretty bad. They just gave up 5 goals against Newcastle. They've kind of fallen apart a little bit here. We could just take that, and that's kind of what the odds are implying. Everton struggling a bit. Leicester maybe playing better under Dean Smith, and I think that's how a lot of people are going to play. But as I look into some of these things a little more, as I'm clicking into profiles here. So we have these Everton matchups. And I mean, the big thing that I kind of want to point out here is, so in that Tottenham match, Decore was sent off. Everton got a late equalizer down a man. And from there, so they didn't have Onana missed these couple games here. He missed that home game against Fulham, which looked pretty bad. They had to score the straw against Crystal Palace. Doucouré was out for this Manchester United match. And then Doucouré returned from his suspension and Onana returned from his injury against Newcastle. And I would argue, I know what the scoreline looks like, but I would argue Everton were actually the better team in maybe the first 30, 40 minutes of that match. If you were playing DFS, you saw that Idrissa Gueye had maybe an 8-point floor in the first half there. I know it got away from him. They allowed a goal, and then it just kind of fell apart. But I do want to say that is kind of interesting that this Newcastle team that's kind of running through a lot of teams in the league, that Everton probably outplayed them for the first half of that match. I think that is important going into this one, especially so that this is the preferred team. We'll see about Ben Godfrey at right back. He hasn't looked very good. We'll see if Nathan Patterson comes into there. Otherwise, I think that's really the only question. I don't think Seamus Coleman's going to be ready to start, but he could. Otherwise, I think this is the preferred formation for Sean Dyche. As I'm talking managers here, Dyche and Dean Smith have played each other a couple times back in their Burnley, Aston Villa days. I tried looking at those results, but they didn't really give too much. We could see Damari Gray come in for Calvert-Lewin, or even Malpe come in for Calvert-Lewin, just because Calvert-Lewin's on back-to-back starts, hasn't been healthy in forever. We'll see what happens with that. But the fact that we have Decore back from a suspension, we got Onana back as well. I think that's important to look at. And then as we look at some of these Leicester City results here, I know a lot of people are saying, okay, I know some of the underlying numbers also say that Leicester City have been better under Dean Smith. And I mean, the thing that I keep coming to is like Dean Smith, he managed this Aston Villa team. A lot of the same players are on this team that Unai Emery has fighting for a top 6 spot. And I mean, I know he wasn't managing Villa recently, but uh, looking at some of the results here. So I think this Manchester City match was the first Dean Smith match. They started out, I mean, kind of, you can throw this match away if you want, but they started out, it was down 3-0. Manchester City made some subs. Both teams made some subs. It was like backups against backups, almost kind of a thing. Leicester City looked like the better team in the second half. Okay, that's cool. They have this Wolverhampton match. They got a PK early on. Actually, Wolverhampton got the first goal, and then there's a PK. But I would argue that, I mean, looking at these numbers, it's not like Leicester City outplayed Wolverhampton. They had fewer shots. I know maybe Wolverhampton were chasing that one late a little bit, but still 42% possession against Wolverhampton, not great. And then they were down the majority of this match at Leeds, and they got a late goal from whoever. Was it Vardy? Yeah, Vardy got the goal. They almost actually got the win there. They had a late offsides in that one. But still, I mean, you look at this Leeds team. I know it was at Leeds, but they've been giving up tons of goals to everyone. And then Leeds, they get their goal in the 20th minute. So Leicester City are chasing this entire match pretty much until they get the 80th minute goal. They still only finish with 15 shots, 20 crosses, 6 corners. So, I mean, you kind of look at that. I know a lot of people want to talk up Dean Smith and Leicester City playing better and whatnot, but I just think those things are worth mentioning here as we look into building rosters and whatnot, because the odds point to Leicester City being the better team under Dean Smith, and I'm not sure that's even the case. I think these odds should actually be closer to even, but that's all I got for the breakdown here. I know people probably want some DFS talk instead of some rambling about managers and how these teams are playing, but those kind of things are kind of important when you're building lineups here. So Chan's asking captain percentage for James Maddison. He might be 50% captain in cash games. I've kind of stopped playing cash games and showdowns a little bit because it's kind of stupid, but I'll talk about it a little bit. It's hard to go. There's a $600 difference between McNeil and James Maddison captain, which I don't think is enough when you have the possibility of James Maddison being on PKs. And you also have, he doesn't really have a worry for set pieces, whereas we could see what happens with this Everton starting 11. We could see, as I said, Damari Gray come back in there. We could see James Garner start, which I don't think will happen. But the big thing with McNeil is Everton haven't had more than 5 corners in who knows how long, a few matches, but McNeil is still hitting a 10-point floor. So basically, McNeil has kind of been in the same range as what Maddison does. He just has good floor from open play. And what caught my eye a little bit with McNeil is he has 10 shots in his last 3 starts, 6 on target. If you don't remember Dwight McNeil from his Burnley days, he'd never really had the upside. He just always struggled to get on the score sheet. I mean, we can see last season at Burnley, he didn't score. He already has 5 goals at Everton, which is more than he ever had in any season at Burnley. And like, he's just getting better and more opportunities at Everton. So I just want to throw that out there, because this is not the same. This isn't the Dwight McNeil from Burnley we're getting. He has shown the ability to score more so at Everton than he has at Burnley. So I think that's important to keep in mind as well. I think these guys are pretty level, but I think just because Leicester are at home, Maddison will get a lot of the love. Once we get into tournaments here, Maddison people still will play Madison because of the odds. So Madison captain is 40% a lot. 40% seems like a lot. I'll go 35% maybe for Madison captain. I don't know if it's going to be Trippier levels because he is max price, so there will be people who kind of save money elsewhere. But just a quick cash lineup. You can put in Madison McNeil together. I think the next best floor play is Alex Iwobi. You can double check this by going to the stats right here. Tete actually surprisingly has a good floor per 90, but he often doesn't go in 90. Tielemans, I'll have a note here on Tielemans here, but Tete, I'm kind of surprised that Tete has this floor, but again, rarely goes more than 70 minutes. Hasn't gone more than 77, I don't think, pretty much since February. So this floor per 90 doesn't mean a whole lot, but Leicester are at home. He did take some corners, I believe, over James Maddison last match as well. So that is something to keep in mind here. You could look at Tete. Iwobi as a player who's kind of guaranteed for 90 minutes, and even without set pieces, though he will take a set piece or two. As you can see here, he does have some set pieces, especially when Gray's not in. Iwobi will take maybe even split set pieces with McNeil. So something to keep an eye on there. But even without set pieces, Iwobi in good matchups can get to 10-point floors. At a minimum, he'll get to about an 8-point floor from just a variety of stats. It does a little bit of everything. So he is a player to look at. So if we plug one of those guys in, and then we're kind of left with about 13K for the final three spots. So kind of what I like in this game here, as I mentioned Tielemans here. So Tielemans, it looks like he's getting a little healthier. A lot of people were on Tielemans, was that a couple weeks ago. He hasn't, I guess he started 3 straight, but he had some kind of an injury, which Dean Smith was saying that he couldn't really run around. He was just there to kind of sit in the midfield and kind of run things there. So I guess he went 90 last match. So that's a good sign. But again, it is sort of a short week still. Leicester City, what they played Tuesday at Leeds. So, I mean, I guess your decision will come down to some central midfielders. This isn't cash games here. So what I did was I just plugged in Gay, you can plug in Decore, and you can plug in Onana, and you got a cash lineup. Those Everton midfielders, I know it maybe doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound exciting, but I mean, we saw last game Idrissa Gay had almost a 10-point floor. We've seen at times Onana he had a 10-point floor against Tottenham. Is off an injury, so that's something to keep in mind. But Decore has had decent floors, has had better floors. I've said before that he's getting a little more forward under Sean Dyche as well. So you can kind of build this pretty easy lineup with Maddison captain, with McNeil, with Iwobi. I know it's 5 Everton players, but even this expects to be an even game. You're not going to see, at least I don't think you're going to see Leicester City 60% possession. This unless Everton score in the 20th minute. I don't think you're going to see Leicester City with 60% possession and just dominating. It doesn't feel like that. I think that because these teams are at the bottom of the table, I think Sean Dyche is going to kind of come out and play with the same kind of strategy he played against Newcastle, and I think they're going to be pressuring Leicester a lot because Leicester they're not going to be able to deal with pressure the same amount as well as Newcastle did in their last match. So I think Everton are going to play like that. And then you look at their back lines, like Wout Faes has, made 10 mistakes this season. It feels like that all of them led to goals. So Yunchu has been known to do that in the past, but I mean, he's probably made 3 starts this season, something like that. So you got those center backs back there bound to make mistakes. It feels like, so I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think it's the worst idea to do 5 Everton players and with James Maddison, even in cash games. I don't think that's the dumbest thing because what are you getting from your Leicester City floors here? Like Barnes is expensive. How many minutes are you going to get from Barnes? He's recently off a hamstring injury. As I mentioned, it's a short week. He went 70 minutes last week. How many minutes is he going to go again? You're paying, 9,400 for him in the flex spot. Vardy, You're not going to play Vardy and Cash, Tete. So you got all these guys. And that's kind of it for cash games. So how are we going to win tournaments? That's another question. Is it worth it to spend down and not captain Maddison McNeil? I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure. Because if there's goals in this match, you got to think that that's going to lead to 20 plus points for Maddison and McNeil, because both of those guys have 10 points. This is like the Trippier situation. In every matchup, Trippier has a floor of 10 points, plus 10 plus points. If he gets a goal or assist, that basically automatically makes him, one of the best players. Obviously, when Newcastle score 5 goals, it doesn't matter as much, but we're not expecting, 5 goals from this match. So, sorry, I'm just reading some comments here. Chris, we're asking, comparing McNeil and White and Iwobi for ownership in the big GPP. That's a good question. I think that McNeil is still just going to be. I know he's 2K more, but where are people going to spend money? I think that people are going to kind of be glued to McNeil. It seems like Iwobi just never is that popular, and I mean, you're just scrolling through his game log here. I mean, we can look. I looked through the McNeil game log. I was talking about his upside. I mean, we could look at the Iwobi game log here. He doesn't have a goal or assist since February. He doesn't have a goal since October. So I don't think Iwobi. I think McNeil could be twice as popular as Iwobi. I think people will kind of gravitate towards McNeil and Maddison. Just because of the upside. We've seen McNeil score recently. We haven't seen Iwobi score recently. So I think that's kind of where people are going to go. And McNeil is more likely to take set pieces. Well, I know it's possible for Iwobi, but we get Gray coming on in the 60th, 70th minute, and then that kind of takes away Iwobi right there as well. So probably twice as popular. 60-30%. I don't know. I haven't really been looking at showdown percentages here for Everton in recent matchups, but so for tournaments, you want to play for the 1-0 win, scoreless draw. I think that's in play. I think goals are in play as well. Everton have been bad defensively. I mentioned the Leicester City center backs here. We can click into Suyunchu. 3 starts in league play this season, 4 starts. They gave up that goal at Leeds. They gave up the opening goal in, I don't know, all of their matches. They're giving up the opening goal in so many of these matches, including that Leeds match, including that home one against Wolverhampton. So I think you could play for the 1-1 result. Maybe you go 2-1, maybe 2-2 kind of a thing. I will, as usual, get into goalkeeper captains. But so how do you want to be different from captaining? Let's see if it's even worth it to not captain a Maddison and McNeil. Actually, I'll go off of a Maddison and McNeil captain here. Let's just say we're captain McNeil. We go Maddison. Like, what else do you want to do instead of using the 3 Everton midfielders that I mentioned? So I mean, I think DCL might be maybe it won't be too popular as an underdog here. 5,800. So Calvert-Lewin's 5,800. Vardy is 4,800. We could also see Daka start over Vardy. Daka is more expensive. He's 8K. So I think these forwards will be popular because they're cheap. I'm not going to be on Vardy. I'm not going to do it. You could captain him and hope he gets a brace kind of a thing, but I guess good luck. You're going to get maybe 70 minutes from him. And what is he going to do? You need 2 goals or a goal and assist, because 1 goal is basically going to get you 15 points. Maybe that's not going to be more than Maddison. I'm just talking, Vardy captain kind of a thing. But I mean, you could plug him. Really, you can plug in a lot of these guys here. I talked about Tielemans earlier, and I guess we can consider him again. 5,200 home against Everton. Not the worst idea. I believe he had a goal called back last match, if I'm not mistaken. So I think all these guys are in play. Castagna is too expensive. I would say at 7K. There's no reason really to go up there. Christensen is also 6,600. You could look at those guys, but at that point, you'd only play those guys if you're not captaining McNeil or Maddison. Um, I guess you could go that route instead of Iwobi. Um, let's see what we got. Keane, Tarkowski, Face, Soyuncu. I would not play the Leicester City center backs. I'd be more comfortable playing the Everton center backs because those guys do take part in their set pieces a little more. Um, at least that's what it seems like. Michaelenko, where is he priced at 6,000? I guess. Again, I mean, this is still a situation where I almost like the midfielders for Everton just more than a guy like Michaelenko, because it also, even though maybe Michaelenko has a better floor, but it still seems like I don't even think he does. But I think the Everton central midfielders just have more upside than the Everton fullbacks because they just don't get up the field in those attacking situations very often. Is what it seems like. Um, so I mean, you can go a lot of these guys. I would avoid like the Godfreys, the Michaelenkos, when you don't really need to go there because you have the midfielders. You have all these cheaper midfielders. I guess I wouldn't go Samare either. Samare is just a deeper sitting Tielemans. Let me quickly look at his numbers, make sure I'm not mistaken here. 0 shots. He never takes a shot. So if you want to captain someone that no one else is going to captain Boubacar Samare. He has like 1 shot all season. But yeah, I mean, from the McNeil Maddison captain, you can kind of do whatever. If you think Leicester are going to score multiple goals, throw in Tete, throw in Barnes, throw in Vardy, throw in a couple of those guys, and then maybe you even fade McNeil at that point. Maybe you hope it's a 8-point game from McNeil, and then you're just getting Leicester goals. Maybe Everton or continue to struggle and Leicester get 2-3 goals. You get those 2-3 goals with your Leicester pieces, and then maybe you just throw in, a couple cheaper midfielders, and you get 5 to 8 floor points from like the Everton midfielders or something like that. 3-1 game, 3-0 game, whatever. So on the other side of that, maybe Everton win 2-1, same kind of idea. Maybe a little less of the same kind of idea because Leicester have, this front four of attacking players like Barnes, Maddison, Tete, Vardy. Whereas with Everton, it's a little different. You got DCL, and then you got McNeil, and it's like no one else really stands out in terms of, getting goals and assists because it's kind of varied in terms of how Everton perform. But I think Calvert-Lewin will get looks at captain. I think Vardy will get looks at captain. Calvert-Lewin, what does he compare with? Calvert-Lewin's about the same price as Pickford here as a captain. So that is an important note, I would say. But otherwise, yeah, it's not that difficult. I guess the thing with captain and Maddison McNeil is that it's not that difficult to build your lineup. So those guys, you got to think that those guys are about 60% of captains in tournaments. That seems like a lot. Maybe I'm kind of boosting that number a bit, but just really makes a lot of sense to go with those guys because if there are goals in this match, they will likely be involved. If there's not goals in the match, they will likely have the highest floors. So those guys will be popular, and it's not that difficult to make lineups. But okay, goalkeeper captain Iverson against Pickford. Iverson is expensive. It's not a great reason to go with Iverson here, but let's see how many saves. Okay, he doesn't make that many saves, but let's say Iverson gets 4 saves, a win, clean sheet. Let's say it's 1-0. Everton just continue to struggle to score. They get some shots on target, whatever. So you get James Maddison in here. You get James Maddison. Maybe he only has an assist, and Maddison's at let's say Maddison's at 16 points. And you get 4 saves out of Iverson. So Iverson winning clean sheet is going to be over Maddison. Okay, that's kind of a tame number, but we'll still plug in McNeil to this just to get the set pieces because Leicester get the early goal, and then we're getting the set pieces from Everton. But I mean, because Everton's so expensive, you're still kind of struggling to fill out your Leicester goal scorers here. But let's just say maybe Tielemans gets the goal, rebound off of a corner, goal. There you go. And then you're gonna want Barnes, Tete, or Vardy. I would say. Um, Again, if Vardy doesn't start and it's Daka, then it's a little more difficult. But yeah, it is kind of difficult to have actually McNeil on this. So maybe in this lineup, we don't even get McNeil. We get Iwobi, which makes it a little easier here to plug in Tete, to plug in a Barnes. Barnes is preferred. So not the easiest thing here because Iverson's so expensive, but you can do it. Maybe you don't even go Iwobi. Maybe you just go all the way down to Onana. So you got Iverson, Maddison, Tielemans, Barnes, and perfect lineup. I just made it. If you want the 1-0, 2-0 Leicester win, I just made it for you guys. Should I repeat it? I'll repeat it. Iverson, Maddison, Tielemans, Tete, Barnes, Onana. There you go. So there's the Iverson captain if you want to take that route. I'm just giving away free winners. Now we get into scoreless draws here. We get the 1-0 Everton win. Pickford captain. We get McNeil. We get Calvert-Lewin here. Assuming Calvert-Lewin starts, we'll see. He's gone back-to-back 80s, which is kind of surprising here. But so I think we still want Maddison in this team, and I think it is possible. You might have to fade Iwobi here, but you don't have to. Okay. So again, I mean, you can kind of do whatever you want on this slate. I know McNeil and Madison are expensive, but you have all these guys who can have 5+ floors below 5K. And you can kind of and they're not complete punts here. So, and I haven't even mentioned the center backs for Everton. If you want to captain one of those guys, maybe get the win and clean sheet with a goal from Keane or Tarkowski. There you go. Keane. Let's look at Keane here. 2 shots last 4 matches since the howler he had against Tottenham. Tarkowski, I don't think he has as many shots. Yeah, he doesn't have a shot the last 2. So maybe Keane's the guy to go there. But here's the Pickford captain. We got Pickford, McNeil, Calvert-Lewin, Iwobi, Doucouré, James Maddison. There you go. Not a difficult slate, but hopefully this one helped. Got a few ideas in there for you. I think it's going to be. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I'm probably going to have a goalkeeper captain, but I think my prediction is kind of in this 1-1 range here. That's kind of what I'm going at. I think Everton are going to try and pressure a little bit in the first half. Maybe that's going to lead to a goal. Maybe it won't. And then I think it'll be kind of even for the second half, maybe a little back and forth. We'll see where the goals come from. But I would say, I'm not going to take it, but I would say the under 2.5 is probably my play. Maybe in the 1-1, maybe we get the 2-1. I do think 1-0, even the scoreless draw is in play as well. Interesting to see how Leicester play this one at home. You cannot lose this game, so maybe they play a little safer, as we saw in that the Wolverhampton match where they had 41% possession at home against Wolverhampton. Maybe they take that same approach here and try and limit the good opportunities from Everton, kind of thing. So we'll see how Deitch and Dean Smith want to attack this one. But those are my thoughts. Good luck on the 10K. Good luck on the King of the Pitch. And hopefully you can win some money. Again, check out Kits and Wagers. We got a bet for this one. You can find me at Zdroik. Make sure to follow RotoWire Soccer on Twitter. Thumbs up on YouTube. Like and subscribe this video. Subscribe to the channel. We're almost getting to 1,000 on the channel. So thank you for all that. Happy Monday. Happy May. We'll see everyone. Oh, wait. I'll see everyone tomorrow, I guess. Geez. Arsenal against Chelsea is the showdown. And we got we got games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know if there's games Friday. As you can tell, I'm very excited. Good luck on the slate. See everyone later.